In Minneapolis in 1934, cops unloaded live ammunition on striking truck drivers, killing 2 protesters and injuring almost 70 more. This was during a citywide strike in Minneapolis, and it was eventually dubbed Bloody Friday. Now, I will say that I went to go search Bloody Friday, and there's a lot of things that have been called Bloody Friday. So if you've heard that term before and it wasn't that, it's fine. We can all have some Bloody Fridays. But this was one instance in a long line of the US government using agents directly or indirectly to attack striking workers, often killing them, often having body counts in the double digits. Normal cops, Pinkertons and private security forces, National Guard, militia, and the literal US Army have all been sent in some capacity to fight protesting workers. When I say fight, I mean live battles with gunfire. Throughout US history, there was a lot of literal battles fought between workers and the agents of the elite. Today, we are watching as Minneapolis is having another citywide strike. This is the first in essentially 80 years since that last one that I had mentioned, the Bloody Friday one. This general strike has been endorsed by a bunch of unions in the area and is a don't work, don't shop, don't go to school, don't participate in the economy kind of day. Protesters and local faith leaders are out in sub-zero temperatures protesting ICE occupying their city. I have contacts on the ground in Minneapolis and they're giving me updates about what life is like there, and it is rough. You know, ICE has been occupying multiple different cities across the US, and they're all facing some degree of this, but just to give a sense of what it's like there, here's what I've heard. People are afraid to literally just leave their house because they might get accosted by an ICE agent who demands to see proof that they're a US citizen. Imagine you're just walking to your local coffee shop, you've got a few bucks, maybe your phone in your pocket, and some masked federal agent with a gun walks up to you and demands your papers. Personally, I would be very confused because skin color, but before I would even be able to internalize that question, he'd have me cuffed. And so a lot of people of color especially are just staying home to avoid even potentially having that problem. Because we've already seen US citizens get swept up, shipped across the country, in some cases deported. And we only know of stories that are coming out from people who have been able to find their loved ones or the ones that ICE have told us about. Someone I know in Minneapolis was telling me about someone else they were talking to who's actively hiding somebody in their home. That statement was followed up with a line that I think really catalyzes exactly where we are right now, which is, that's where we are. The hiding stage. White US citizens are hiding other people in their homes from a federal agency that has sent masked armed agents into this city and told them that they're allowed to just break into people's homes. These ICE agents are the ones that saw that they could get a nice payday to go somewhere and hurt minorities. And they were like, oh, that seems like a good deal. That is what they have chosen to do with their time on this planet. Throughout all of this, throughout everything that I have said, people are every single day going out and trying to help their neighbors. While the city is being occupied by their own government, people are going out and trying to help each other. People have been shot and killed and kidnapped and taken across the country, and yet brave people are still going out, still recording everything, still trying to get people home safe. And now this strike is happening, and I've been very clear for a long time about how I think we actually dig ourselves out of this mess, and it's through strong workers' unions. Unions in the United States are not particularly in a great place right now, and we've watched as for the past century that they've been pushing this narrative that you shouldn't join the union because they're evil, they associate them with the mafia, whole bunch of tactics to prevent people from asking for something better from their employers. Oh, but the union dues. Oh, but you gotta pay the dues. And what are you gonna do about that? Hey, happily pay those dues with the 20% pay increase I would get. But to prove my point, notice what happens when strikes actually become effective. As I said at the outset, historically, the government will go as far as to unload live ammunition on protesters. This is because strikes are economic violence. And while economic violence happens all the time to the working class, and we're very used to that, it doesn't happen often to the owning class. And to them, it's an existential threat that it can't ever be to a worker. Because if you go after the owning class's wealth, they might no longer be a member of the owning class. You go after a worker's wealth, they're still a worker. They're just a hungrier worker. And so from their perspective, the economic violence against them justifies physical violence in response. Of course, violence has no place in our politics. So with all that said, I want to draw attention to May Day 2028, which is a UAW-backed general strike for 2028. Now, obviously, 2028 is not right now, and we need action right now. But this is actually how a general strike could be organized. With enough time to get people aware of it, to get unions on board, to get things organized such that it can actually happen and be sustained. That's how you go about doing that. For every union that we have that is strong, we are that much closer to being able to pull it off. So tell your friends. More specifically, tell your coworkers. Solidarity, and also fuck ICE. Bye-bye.